scientists would argue the fact that life in general is both exhilarating and kind of terrifying all at the same time. In all honesty, it's taken me over 30 years to embrace all sides of life. Now, to some, that may not make much sense because I have always been the vibrant, happy-go-lucky, isn't it so beautiful type of person. But ironically, most of my life I've wanted to shrink, hide, and run away in fear. Fear of what? Literally everything. From a very young age, I have been in a constant state of high anxiety. One of my first vivid memories of having a panic attack and wanting to escape my own body was in 2nd grade, where I was sitting quietly amongst my peers and all of a sudden, I sneezed. And farted. Takes a lot of talent, I know. At the exact same time. As if that wasn't already devastating to an epically shy little girl, my teacher looked over and asked, "Are you okay?" I felt like I was in a fishbowl. The embarrassment of it all led me to be deeper into my worrisome mind, and that was just a tiny tip of a much larger iceberg. The answer to my teacher's question, was I okay? Technically. Although I felt like I exploded both physically and metaphorically. But deep down, that was just one comical drop in the bucket of why I felt the world was such an uncomfortable place to live in. From that young age and on, I was worried about it all. On edge, introverted, uncomfortable. My painfully shy self would worry about all of the worst things happening. I had endless nights of insomnia, feeling as if my brain was in overdrive, yet turning off at the same exact time. My chest would be tight, my body on fire, and I would be tossing and turning, unable to fall asleep, for fear of not waking up in the morning. A 7-year-old should be dreaming of unicorns and fairies, not worrying if she would live to see another day. My catastrophic thoughts were out of control. If you've ever had a panic attack, you know in one breath they make no sense at all. But on the other hand, they feel so big and so real, you are sure you're in your last moments of life. I would often be paralyzed in fear, not voicing what I was feeling, not knowing what to do, just shaking and sweating and praying for the moments to pass. The fear of something happening to me or anyone else in my life was always on my mind. And unfortunately, this could happen anywhere. Cozy in my bed with family, shopping, hanging with friends, nowhere was safe. And then it happened, a turning point for the worse. When I was 10 years old, something occurred that proved to me bad things happen when you least expect it. One August day, I was at a friend's house, happy as can be, probably dreaming of unicorns and fairies, when I was ripped away to my worst nightmare. I arrived at my house with a line filled with cars and a home swarming with people. Something bad truly had happened. I could feel the energy was off, and the eye contact with everyone I passed was aloof and distant. I remember seeing my older siblings' faces, and they were not quite right. My mom took myself and my younger brother onto her lap and explained to us that earlier that day, my dad was in an accident, and he had died. Nothing made sense in my mind, yet I knew everything was wrong. I froze in fear. I barely reacted. It was almost as if all of the years of hypothetical worries had drained me, and I didn't know how to process it. I didn't cry or ask questions in the moment. I just allowed my mind to race and race and race. On top of that being epically traumatic, it was proof to my brain that worry should be its mode of operation. And my life into high school and college was flooded with plenty of it. I was frozen with that same level of anxiety for years to come. Although I continued to be a bright, happy teen and adult, it was an uphill battle to find my grounding. Worry and panic would continue to hold me in its grip, and I would grapple for much of my life. I look back to some of the most memorable anxious times and panic attacks and they were ironically during times of happiness and excitement. But today, living in the moment is what I'm all about. I've gone on to live a well-adjusted life that I absolutely adore. But the reason why I wanted to bring this part of my story alive is because so many of us suffer in silence. Whether it's anxiety or something else that holds us back from living more fully in our lives, we all have something. The last 10 years have been some of the deepest work I have ever done. I have put myself in places and spaces that I never thought I would do because of my anxiety. But I have never let it completely take me down, and I have always decided to stretch myself through it and see what comes. One thing among many that I did that changed my relationship with fear was ziplining. I tell you, it was the last thing on my radar to think that I would ever do, and it wasn't necessarily by choice, or was it? I was given a beautiful opportunity to go on a retreat and do photography, but I got to play and explore while I was there. But I spent weeks and nights stressed over even the thought of ziplining. Not only did it leave me with little control, it sounded downright terrifying. But there I found myself walking up to a platform high in the sky, shaking to my core, and wanting to scream, "Never mind," and run away. But I told myself, no, you are doing this, and there is not another option. So there I was, first out of a line filled with people, there goes that fishbowl again, and in a position to flip my butt up into above a canyon and go 9 long zip lines across Costa Rica. After all of the dread and sweat and possibility of a sneeze fart from anxiety, I found myself swinging high in the sky and feeling absolutely empowered. I quite literally conquered something in that moment. The idea that losing control, doing something that terrified me, all while having watchful eyes on me as I did it, was the actual antidote to the decades of trying to battle my inner demons. I found myself in a place of growth and change because I had a glimpse that on the other side of fear and worry, there's freedom and beauty. I wouldn't change anything about my life because even though sometimes things felt royally challenging to do even the most mundane of things, it has also made me who I am today. And it has given me grit. And today I stand here knowing that doing the deeper work, going to therapy when needed, and building a life that I love despite my challenges is what it's all about. I deserve to be heard, to be seen, and so do we all. Although anxiety still finds its way to creep into my life, it does not have the stranglehold it once did. I refuse to allow myself to have a lesser life just because my brain is hardwired for worry. I've made friends with my anxiety. I've come to understand what helps or hinders my thoughts and emotions, and ultimately, I have chosen myself time and time again, bravely putting one foot in front of the other, proving that life is pretty dang beautiful. Thank you.